Hey everyone, it's Mafia Game Videos back with another Mafia video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the new collectibles in the Mafia Definitive Edition. Now, these new collectibles are the magazine covers for comic books. Now, these comic book covers were not in the original Mafia 2002 version. In fact, there were no collectibles in the Mafia 2002 version. So I think it's a nice touch they're adding in this remake. So Mafia 2 had two collectibles. It had Playboy magazines and wanted posters you could find in each level. However, it also had an additional artworks, which was composed of paintings, posters, and pinups. And also there was a family album, Mafia album, and city album. So Mafia 3 had 6 collectibles. It had Playboy magazines, Vargas paintings, album covers for musics, Hot Rod magazine covers, propaganda posters, and Repent magazine covers. So overall, Mafia 3 had 6 collectibles. So far, the Mafia Definitive Edition has comic book covers and cigarette cards. Cigarette cards, there's 22 of them in the game, and they all feature random characters throughout the series from Mafia 1 to Mafia 2 to Mafia 3. All 3 games, random characters. So these cigarette cards connect all 3 games in a way. As for the new comic book collectibles, I'm going to read the new article about them right now. Here's a glimpse at some of the collectibles awaiting you in Lost Heaven. If you go poking around the less trodden corners of Lost Heaven, you might be lucky enough to find one of the many collectibles in Mafia Definitive Edition. Period authentic collectibles are a Mafia Trilogy hallmark, and you'll have a heck of a time tracking them all down if you're a completionist. You might have already seen some of the Collect 'em All cigarette cards, including Tommy Angelo and Leo Galante. These cards feature hand-drawn portraits and informative bios for many of the key players in the criminal underbellies of Lost Heaven, Empire Bay, and New Bordeaux. You'll definitely want to seek these out if you're interested in learning what some of these kingpins or up-and-comers were doing in the years preceding the events of Mafia 2 and Mafia 3. The developers at Hangar 13 also included some sensational covers from real-world pulp magazines printed during the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, and created a comic of their very own to round out the pack. Here is just a taste of the covers you can add to your collection. Get ready for the gripping, smashing detective stories of Black Mask. And this comic book cover is titled Black Mask. On the top it says Western Detective and Adventure Stories. It depicts a gentleman climbing a ladder and pointing a revolver at someone. The guy reminds me of Orlando Bloom for some reason. He kind of looks like him. The next comic is Dime Detective Magazine. Witness what hard-boiled gumshoes get up to in Dime Detective. And on the cover it says it's 10 cents a piece. And the next comic book cover is Gangsters Monthly. This one in particular is 5 cents on the cover, it says. And it says it was published in September 1932, and it's number 2. And on the cover it says, The Racing Racketeer, Daring Driver by day, Fearsome Felon by night. The next comic book cover is Super Science Stories. Strange creatures, fantastical technology, and alien planets abound in super science stories. On the cover it says it was published in May, and it's 20 cents. And the last comic book series is called Terror Tales. Blood-chilling horrors and despicable deeds are chronicled in Terror Tales. And this particular comic book cover depicts a monster grabbing a woman, and it was published in September, and it's 15 cents a piece. So in total there are 5 variants of comic book covers. There's Black Mask, Dime Detective Magazine, Gangsters Monthly, Super Science Novels, and lastly Terror Tales. So far the collectibles in Mafia Definitive Edition are comic book covers, there's 5 different variants of them, and 22 cigarette cards. That's better than nothing. A fun fact is Mafia Definitive Edition is the only Mafia game, just like its 2002 version, that does not have nudity. So this will make Mafia Definitive Edition the second Mafia game to not have nudity. On the latest story trailer number 2 for Mafia Definitive Edition, it said it was rated M for mature because of blood, drug reference, intense violence, sexual themes, and strong language. But overall, I'm grateful that Hangar 13 is adding collectibles to the game. They didn't have to add them, but I'm just glad that they're adding something.
Place, park, scene dark, silvery moon is shining through the trees. Cast to me you, sound of kisses floating on the breeze. Act 1, be